Collective Whisper Podcast with Simon K. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Collective Whisper Podcast, where we delve into the world of comedy and entertainment, music, science, ufology, you name it, with the industry's most fascinating figures. I am your host, Simon K. We have an amazing guest this evening, so we want to thank you for coming along. But before we get to that guest, please subscribe to the show. Please share the show. Please tell us what you think of the show. We'd love to know your opinion. And let's get into it. Today we're thrilled to have a special guest who has made a significant mark in the Irish comedy scene, Owen Colgan. Owen Colgan is an Irish actor, comedian and writer, best known for his iconic role as Buzz McDonald in the wildly popular mockumentary series Hardy Books. For those who may not be familiar, Hardy Books is a hilarious exploration of the lives of young men in a small Irish town, capturing their misadventures and dreams with a raw and relatable humour. As one of the co-creators of Hardy Books, Owen has played a pivotal role in bringing to life a series that began as a humble web project and grew into a beloved RTÉ television show. His character, Buzz McDonald, is a naive yet endearing figure whose antics and optimism have resonated deeply with fans. But Owen is not the only star in Hardy Books. The series is rich with unforgettable characters, each adding their own unique flavour to the show. There's Eddie Durkin, played by Martin Maloney, who we've had on the show before, and great guy. He is the self-proclaimed leader of the group, whose misguided ambitions often lead the gang into all sorts of comedic chaos. Then we have the Viper, portrayed by Chris Tordoff, whose entrepreneurial spirit and schemes are as outrageous as they are entertaining. Not to forget Boo, played by Peter Cassidy, the quiet yet cunning member of the crew who often surprises everyone with his unexpected insights, as well as many other characters on the show as Salmon and Cowboy. There are so many characters to choose from on the Hardy Books. In addition to his work on Hardy Books, Owen has made a name for himself in stand-up comedy, captivating audiences with his sharp wit and relatable humour. Currently, he is on tour with his latest show, Futuristic, where he explores modern themes such as AI, aging and family life, all delivered with his trademark comedic style. Today, we'll be diving into Owen's journey from the streets of Ireland to the comedy stage, exploring the creation and evolution of Hardy Books and discussing his latest endeavours. So sit back, relax and get ready for a laughter-filled ride as we welcome the incredibly talented Owen Colgan to the show. Welcome to the show, Mr. Owen Colgan.
Thank you very much for having me. Nice to meet you.
It's lovely to meet you.
Simon.
Simon K, the stage name.
I like it. It's a good stage name. Yeah, I like it.
It's a good stage name. It was just, I was filling out the form and there wasn't enough letters, you know? That's all it was.
Oh, I see. They charge you by the letter today in Alicante.
So it's stuck. I think that's how a lot of DJs get their name, you know? They're like Paddy Fitzgerald, and then they can't fit the Gerald, and then they're just Paddy Fitz, because there's not enough letters in the form. Do you know what I mean?
I see what you're saying. Yeah. I get you. Also, the taxman mightn't be after them either.
Exactly. That's another reason. That was the first reason, but I didn't want to say that, you know. I didn't want to. So we're talking to Owen, and he's in the car on the way from Drumshambo. And before any of the PC brigade get on, he's not driving with his lad or anything. His hands are, you can see them, but he's still motionless, you know.
Those days are long gone, Simon.
Those days are gone. Yeah, as you're a Mayo man and I'm a Galway man, Leitrim is kind of exile, isn't it? It's like where Napoleon went.
I think so, yeah. I think he was buried up there, wasn't he? Drumshambo.
Drumshambo. Drumshambo is like a big city though in Leitrim, you know what I mean? In all fairness.
It is. Oh, it's happening. It's like all the stag doos go there. All the hen parties. Oh, hoo-hoo.
Charlie McGettigan country.
Yeah, that's right. That's where he was born and bred, isn't it?
He lives up around there. So I had him on the podcast a few seasons ago, and that's his country, Drumshambo. So he's like Joe Dolan there, you know.
Is he really? He goes around shaking hands all day.
Well, Joe doesn't do that anymore, but Charlie still does.
He's going around heaven shaking hands. Yeah, fair play. You know, it's a lovely spot though.
It's lovely, and the weather looks like it's quite dry. There's no rain.
There's a bit. It's coming in flashes, you know, but it's not too bad at the moment now.
This is not one of those kind of you know, those Hollywood movie cars where it's driving. It looks like it's driving, and you're like doing your lines. It's not like that, is it?
No, it's not rigged up to anything. This is just an old-fashioned Opel Astra car.
Be on the back of a trailer on a Massey Ferguson, but it's not that. No.
I'm not at that level yet, no. Collective whispers. Are we meant to be whispering here, are we?
But only when there's more than two, so we can shout, we're fine.
Okay, lovely. Where are you? In Galway, is it?
I'm from Galway. I'm from Turfin, that famous footballing country. You know it?
Oh, I know it all too well, yeah. And hurling as well there, no?
No hurling now. There was a few lads bait there a few years ago with hurls, but nothing for sporting, no sporting goods.
Oh, yeah, that was just a random Saturday night.
That was just Saturday night coming out of the church, yourself. But no, Turfin's a footballing place. I'm from there, but I've been in Spain now for 10 years, so I'm in Alicante. I don't know if you know that part of the world.
Oh, Jesus. Muy bien.
I'm 5 meters from the topless beach, so I kept it local. You know what I mean?
Is there many other topless people on there, or is it just yourself?
Mainly me and a few outlads,
It's like that unofficial nude beach in Mayo. It's only myself that's on it.
Someone said it was a gay beach, but I don't know. Like, none of the lads when they're near me have the hard on, so I'm not sure if it's gay beach, Could be.
You gotta keep looking. That's what I would say.
Keep looking. As the fella says, keep stroking till you get movement,
Sounds like a romantic.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's lovely up here, the police arrive. Are you living in Dublin now, or are you living at home, or where are you?
I live at home again, yeah. I was living in Dublin for about 5 years there, and then I moved back home around 2022. So I'm living back in Mayo again now.
How does it feel to be back in the sticks?
Do you know what? I love it. I love the countryside. It's hard, it can be quiet enough at times, but I do like it. It's my favorite place to be, the countryside, because when you're in the city, you feel like you have to be doing something or buying something or drinking something. So I'm nearly as well away from all that, because if it's out of sight, it's out of mind, that kind of way.
It's the temptation, isn't it? You've turned upside down there. I don't know what I'm talking to you upside down now. I don't know what happened. The phone flipped or something, did it?
Sorry, but I don't know what happened there. That just flipped for some reason.
Jesus. You gave me a shock there. It looked like the car turned upside down, went in the river. I was like, what's that?
Yeah, I have the full insurance anyway, so I might even do it on purpose to claim a bit of money off them.
You never know, but that would have been evidence there that say you can't be doing a podcast while you're driving, So it might have went against you, you know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
And Owen, as a former Hardy book, have you quietened down a bit, or are you still a bit mad?
No, I'm very quiet now, yeah. I'm living a spiritual life now. I do a lot of meditating and praying.
Right.
I'm a part-time priest.
Oh, that's a good one. Do you do weddings as well? Like, do you marry people?
I do weddings, but I don't like to see people happy, so I prefer a funeral, really, so I would.
Yeah, it's like a wedding with poison tonic wine, so you're waiting for the funeral.
Yeah, I like the misery of a funeral.
That's brilliant.
Exactly. Yeah. No, but have I calmed down? I probably have calmed down a bit, because you know yourself, when you turn 40, you kind of have to slow things down a bit. But every once in a while, the dog comes out of me, and I have to put him back into the kennel again.
Yeah, don't put him down, but put him back in the kennel, in the doghouse. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to put him down, no. No, you don't want to.
No. You'd be tempted to sometimes, but
just give him a few treats. You got to hand feed him the odd time.
Yeah, throw a big stick and hope he comes back with it.
Exactly.
And tell me, and we've had Martin Maloney on the show, Eddie, before, and it was gas because he was all the way from Stockholm. Yeah, and he spoke great things about you and all the rest of the crew, and it was an interesting conversation. Because I think a lot of people would love to see the Hardy books coming back sometime, because it was a great show and it captured that kind of time and that age in Mayo, didn't it? It was perfect for that time.
It was perfect for that time, yeah, definitely. And it was just like a good meeting point of all friends getting together and good topics to talk about. We were all living together at that point, living in Galway actually as well. So there was a lot of chemistry there, a lot of chemistry between us. So you'd nearly want all that again. You'd want us to be hanging out for maybe 2 or 3 months before we did anything again together, just so we can get a feel of each other, just so we can get a taste of each other.
Yeah, and it's amazing, isn't it? Because if you were to try to revive that show, it mightn't work unless you had that, retreat in the mountains or something together with 50 crates of Buckfast.
That's it, yeah. But you might come out a different man if you had 50 crates of Buckfast.
You might. Rationing.
Exactly. But you know what? 10 crates would do it. The monks knew something about the Buckfast, so maybe there's something in it.
I think so. But, did you used to consume a lot of Buckfast, or what was your drink of choice that time?
Well, we lived in Galway, a lot of us at the time, myself and the Boo and Eddie Durkin and French toast. So Buckfast was the thing we'd drink, because you see, the Buckfast would give you the confidence when you went out. You think you were more confident than you were. Maybe that was the caffeine that was in it. So we definitely consumed plenty of Buckfast. Men of the world.
It's like when you'd be in the off-license looking at the expensive French wine, and then the price part of you, like in the money jingling in your pocket, you kind of filter it down to the Buckfast, and you go, lads, this is wine too, and it's dirt cheap. That's kind of the way it worked, wasn't it?
Do you know what though? It's 14 quid now.
14 quid a bottle.
And you can buy naggins as well. I know, yeah, it's too much, but you can buy naggins and everything too. So, and the flavors changed a small bit. I had a bit there about 3 weeks ago, a couple of mouthfuls, and it's as good as it's ever been.
It's an acquired taste, though, isn't it? It's like flat Coca-Cola.
It is. You wouldn't want a full bottle nowadays, but like 1 or 2 mouthfuls would be enough to kind of get you back into 1996 kind of vibes. Would you like it yourself?
I think I only drank it when I was really drunk. We used to drink the Mad Dog 2020 and all them. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that one. No, Mad Dog 2020. No, where did you get that?
That was the first flavored vodkas and all of that, you know. When you couldn't afford the vodka or the tequila or the rum, you'd buy that, and it was like a teenager drinking as a 13-year-old, you know, flavored vodkas and stuff. But the Buckfast, yeah, it came in handy at the end of the night when there was nothing left.
It did. That's right, yeah. Or port. Did you ever drink port?
Oh, Jesus, port is a killer.
Yeah, we used to drink the port as well. That was cheaper again, so we'd have the odd bottle of port here and there. But
oh, that's like raiding your granny's press, looking for the last bit of alcohol.
It's like raiding your granny's mind.
Yeah, for sure. The port would bring back some bad memories. But whereabouts were you living in Galway at the time? Where were we in Foster Court? Were you in around the city?
We were living in Foster Court. We were living in, what you call that place? Grand Parade, Spanish Arch, Spanish Parade.
I had some friends that lived in Foster Court, and it was a great spot for drinking and parties and everything. So I had a good guess that you were there, you know?
Oh, yeah, we'll go with the whole city is a good place for parties.
Oh, it's a great place for it, yeah.
I'm sure it's the same now, like, but Wednesday till Sunday, it's always busy. But we were living in Renmore as well, and Lakeshore Drive, Father Griffin Road.
I lived in Lakeshore Drive. I actually lived in that road. I did, exactly. Right on the lake, Dirty Lochatalia.
Did you?
Yeah.
I did too, yeah.
Yeah, I remember we tried swimming in the river a few times, and you'd be caked in muck up to your legs in it. Filthy.
Lochatalia, yeah, exactly. Would you walk across the railway line there to get to where you're hoping it was muck?
Hoping it was muck, exactly. No, there were good times. There were lots of good parties in Galway. And you know what? Come to think of it, actually, if you ever did do a Hardy Books revival, maybe Galway City would be the place to set it. Like the boys have moved on, you know? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. I think so because Galway's got a lot to offer. Like, so I think it just show that, you know what, they've left a small town, they've moved to the big city.
Exactly, because Castletown has nothing to offer for sophisticated gentlemen like yourself. You need like limos and shit, no?
You need limos and you need big lakes and you need Buckfast on tap and Shop Street.
Yeah, and to have a pier you can walk on. Yeah, and Shop Street.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, you need all those things, you know?
If we look back at, the Hardy Books and when it started, was it something that you were all in favour of doing, or was there objections to doing it, or how did you all kind of agree to do it, or was it just a bit of crack? We'll start it for a bit of crack.
It was Eddie Durkin and the Viper that came up with the idea originally. So they were just doing a weekend project for Ballyfermot School, some School of Media stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So they just asked us, all of us lads, to kind of get involved. So we said, yeah, we'll do it. But it wasn't a case of we were really excited to do it, and it wasn't a case of no, we won't do it. We were just like, all right, sure, we'll see what happens. It's a bit of crack, it was a bit, you get to perform on camera and you get to perform with your friends. So it was exciting in that way, but we weren't thinking any further than making a few videos just for the crack. So really, that's all we were thinking at the time. We were just thinking just to have a bit of fun, today and like make a few videos to make our friends laugh. And it was no more than that. Certainly not for most of us anyway. I think the Viper and Eddie Durkin, I think they had bigger plans to get it maybe onto TV and stuff like that. Because I know that Eddie Durkin, he went to LA one time and he was like hanging out with like a few movie execs and a few of those kind of people,
Right. Yeah, the moguls.
The moguls, exactly. And he came back to Ireland then. He goes, we've got to go to America and all this stuff. And we're like, just chill out, man. We're just hanging out here in Swinford, just finding out what we're doing with our lives.
Some of the lads don't know the way out of Castletown and he's talking about going to LA.
Exactly. And we were saying to him, don't be pulling the rug over our eyes,
Yeah, yeah. And I can imagine, though, when you filmed like the first few episodes and then it was like, we're going to do some more. You were thinking, why are we doing more? Like, I thought this was for a project. Like, where are we going now with it? Like, because I'm sure there's a point where you're like, are we taking this seriously? Or is this going to be a long-term thing,
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Well, nobody really took it seriously until there was a bit of talk that it might get onto TV. Like, so up to that point, it was just a load of lads making like silly videos. So none of us were taking it seriously. We all had jobs at the time, but we were not really happy in our jobs or anything like that. So this was a great excuse for us all to meet up and hang out together and create stuff. So it happened very organically. There was never any like pressure from us to have to do this or that or the other. But when it got to RT Storyland, which was the online competition, we started to get paid for a few £100. a weekend of filming. So we were like, "Oh, we're getting paid to film. That's great." So that's when we started smelling blood, Simon.
Right. The sharks were in the water.
The sharks were in the water and they were ready to bite.
Oh my God. When the money gets on board, the train starts moving faster. No?
Oh, the train, it goes too quick sometimes.
And Buzz McDonald, Buzz, that character, was he an alter ego of yours, or where did he come out of?
I don't even know myself. I think he probably was me, an alter ego, maybe some suppressed emotions, probably like mixed of people that I'd seen in Galway, in my hometown. And I was living in Cork as well for a while, so probably people I'd seen around there. And then just a mix of cheekiness and ignorance.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? Because I'm always laughing, there's times I'm here and my kids say to me, when they know when the Irish fella comes out in me, And then, I'm always laughing because with the dog, you'd be like, for fuck's sake. And we can't help it because you could be the most sophisticated Irishman, but you have to let the bogman out sometimes, don't you?
You do, definitely, yeah. I was just thinking about that the other day, even when it comes to cursing.
It's like therapy.
It is, you have to let it out.
Yeah.
Cursing, I've tried to cut back on cursing because I think when I'm just talking to people, I curse too much just for absolutely no reason. But then I thought, I was listening to this other lad called Lemmy. You know Lemmy?
Yeah, Motorhead, yeah.
No, Lemmy from Scottish comedian lad. No. And he kind of got me thinking that Scottish people are similar to Irish. We just curse a lot, because it's a bit of the way we kind of express ourselves. So, yeah, you have to let the dog out. So you're living in Spain, are you, Alicante?
I'm in Spain with my dog here. He's a therapy dog, and he's not the normal therapy dog. Because people kind of go, I have a therapy dog. When I get a panic attack, the dog comes to me. My dog is different because I don't curse as much, right? But then when the dog's around me, I'm like, come here, you dirty old bastard, And I call him everything under the sun, but it's all in lovable terms. And my wife said to me, you can't talk to the dog like that. And I'm saying, sure, he's only an old bollocks. And he doesn't know what I'm saying, but he loves the tone. PETA and probably all the animal welfare groups would probably find something wrong with it. But he gets my cursing side out, like the fucking bollocks comes out,
I get you. I know. I have the same thing here with I have a cock. I don't know if you can see it there, but
I can't.
Can you see him, no?
This will be in the newspaper tomorrow. Fella from Spain looks at Owen McGonagall's cock.
Well, I'd say they'd barely be wondering, who the fuck is Owen McGonagall?
Oh, sorry, Owen Colgan. Oh, McGonagall. Jesus.
I like that, though. That could be a mistake then. Do you know what I had today? I had a Snickers Duo today.
Oh, Jesus. I was talking about them today with someone.
So you know what they are? They're nothing more than a big, dirty lie. Because you buy them you think 2 pieces of chocolate, but it's just getting you addicted to the chocolate, and they're much more expensive and they're not as tasty as they used to be. They used to be a lot better there about 10 years ago, those Snickers.
When you got the big fat Snickers, that was the one. Do you remember the big one? And there was no cutting it in half. You nearly wouldn't be able to eat it.
I do remember. You have to put it into the microwave for half an hour to melt it.
That's it. Stick it in your back pocket and forget about it and find it the following Tuesday,
They've gone downhill, and I'm not happy about it, Simon.
But still edible, always edible. You'll always eat it, Yeah, I remember, you'd find bits of chocolate after a night out or something. You'd be like, Jesus, I don't know how long that's there, but it tastes good,
Yeah, all flat. Oh yeah, fold it up a few times. Yeah.
With the Futuristic Farmer now, you've done some shows around Ireland.
I have, yeah. I did Limerick and Galway.
Okay. And where did you play in Galway? Roisin's, or where was it?
Roisin, Dove and Galway, and then Dolan's in Limerick.
That must have been a bit crazy to be in Roisin's, and years ago you're trying to probably get in when you're with all the boys and you'd be too drunk, and now you're up on stage there.
Oh yeah. Do you know what? When we lived in Galway, all myself and all the lads, we'd go to Roisin Dove all the time. Now, it's a bit different than it was then, but there used to be like a smoking area upstairs. It's still up there, but it's not as big as it used to be. But we used to go in there all the time. Like, we'd be in there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe, and then just to go back there now doing gigs, it's strange, but I've done enough gigs there that it's not weird to me anymore. Do you know that kind of...
Oh, and how did you make the transition then from being a comedic character and turning Buzz back into Owen and continuing that on a live scene? Because of course, when the cameras are rolling, maybe you're not as conscious but when you were doing it in front of people and you had to be Owen slash Buzz slash every other character, was it a hard thing for you to do, or did it take time?
Well, I'm still working through it because I don't like, at least with the Buzz character, it was 100% like character, because I could, it was much more raw, you could say. But like, because I'm trying to figure out how I am in my own life, so I'm just trying to kind of like try to do things that are more real to my own life, So it's like I'm still trying to find it. To be honest, I actually, to be honest, Simon, I don't actually know, because I just like the Buzz character I definitely felt like I could separate myself from the Buzz character, but now that I'm being more myself, but yet I'm still playing a character, I don't know. Like, it just depends. If it makes me laugh in the moment, then I think that might not be a bad idea. But it's just like maybe looking at life in general is whimsical, and then just trying to find the funny stuff in life, just for my own mental health more than anything. So it's not even a case of like separating myself. It's just trying to enjoy my life and find what makes me laugh.
Yeah, I understand. Right. And is that when you get something that makes you snigger or laugh, is it something that you keep it in your head, or you write it down? If you're out with the cock in the back garden and you get a silly joke or something stupid, do you does it stay there?
It depends on, like, yeah, if I have the phone with me, I could put it in the phone. But I think that's nearly one of the worst methods, because if you're looking at text on a phone, it doesn't really have much emotion behind it. It's just like text. So I think if you're going to put it into the phone, maybe the best thing to do would be to record it into a WhatsApp voice note, so you can kind of at least hear the tone of it, or else just keep going over it. Sometimes it's better not to just put it to paper straight away and just go over it a few times in your head. But like, if I'm in bed at night and I come up with an idea, I'll definitely write it down, because otherwise you'll forget. So it's a variation of methods too, and it's also just trying to be present. That's a big one as well. Like, whenever you're doing stuff, being present is the key.
And I think as well, for people who are funny and witty and like humor, sometimes the humor comes in the moment. But if someone said to you then, "Oh, Jesus, that's fierce funny," or whatever, the thing is then, if you have to transfer that to the stage, you have to obviously memorize it a little bit, change it to suit an audience. So sometimes you can probably lose the humor because it's not that instant, no?
Oh, completely, yeah. Like, there could be bits where you write them down, you think they're the funniest thing you'll ever write, and not one person in the crowd will laugh, or they look at you like,
yeah.
They might even give you a look like, what the fuck was that all about? So, it's not that they don't get it. It's just that maybe you're not describing it properly. Maybe you're not.
Yeah, they don't get it.
The great thing about this whole thing is, like, it teaches you how to become more clear with your thoughts. But like, because I'm not very clear with how I think, So if you're going to tell it to an audience for an hour, you need to be able to at least describe what you're trying to say, at least, So that's taken me years, and still taking me more years. But it's a very enjoyable journey, because it gives you a chance to sort of, like, you might think something's funny, and then you might say it to even your friend or somebody, and they might be looking at you going, what was that all about? I don't know what you said. But then conversely, then you might be like, I might be recording a video at home, and I, like, in between the jokes, I might be like, oh fuck, that didn't work out or whatever. But that's the bit that might make people laugh if they watched it. The actual mistake might be the bit people like. So, like, there's a lot to be said for the vulnerable part of life as well. There's a lot of gold in the vulnerable parts of life.
There's this thing I always describe, which is personal bias, whereas you can do something and you find it funny, but nobody else might find it funny. But I always think, if it makes you laugh, that's enough, because that enriches your life. You can laugh at yourself. But the thing is, with personal bias, like, you can write a song or write a poem and think, geez, that's pretty good. But then you're biased, so somebody else might say, yeah, well, it's okay, but it's not amazing, So that's the thing about anything.
Yeah. It depends what you want to do with it, I suppose.
Exactly, yeah. It's what you want to do with it, but you can either make it better or worse, I suppose, in how you deliver it, can't you?
Definitely. Oh yeah, the delivery is such a big part of it, and you can write all the jokes you want on a piece of paper, but if when it comes to stand up, you have to be practicing in front of people. They're the test audience. And same with social media, like, you have to put your stuff out to people in order to really understand this. Like, and I know what you're saying. If it makes you laugh, then that's great, Well, like, my favorite comedian is Norm Macdonald, and he used to just try to make himself laugh. But like, at the same time, if you have an audience coming and they're paying money, then you have to be thinking, how can I make these people laugh too? So it's very tricky. There's no perfect science behind it. Otherwise, somebody would just copy it and then they'd make loads of jokes. And, so it's almost like the parts are always moving, but you just have to keep tipping away at it all the time.
And ever changing too, because I think with some material, like that, it probably evolves over time and becomes better. But you test it out in audiences and find out what works and change it accordingly, don't you?
Also, the more you do something, the more you kind of digging into it, and then you're like, oh, that's what I was trying to say, you know. So like, we all find it. Well, I know I find myself hard to express when I'm walking around on my own. I can express my thoughts clearly in my own mind, but if I'm talking to somebody, you know, I find it a bit harder to do that. Like, so, you know, I guess when you're on stage, the more times you do it, the deeper you'll get into actually what you're trying to say, if that makes sense.
Of course, yeah. And I suppose for you, you know, you've probably always been a funny guy, but then you got into the medium of recording it on camera and you delivered it a certain way. And, you know, if you had a bad take, it might be a funny blooper or something, but you had a chance to re-record it. But then when you move into the live scene, you have to take those social media edits and everything and deliver them on the spot. So it's a different scenario, isn't it?
It is. It's a very, very different scenario. But at the same time, I think the audiences, they're there with you. Like, you know, they're not there to tear you down. So if you forget a joke, you can be kind of like, you can say, sorry about that, I'm just going to repeat it. You can make a joke about forgetting the joke. You know, it's not like the end of the world. So, you know, that's, you can't put, the key is don't put too much pressure on yourself. That's the key.
No, no. And I think that's your kind of humor anyway, is where like it's kind of like I was going to tell you something, but I've completely forgot it. But on that, let's talk about Alzheimer's. Do you know what I mean? I think you have that kind of humor where you're always ahead of yourself, no?
Well, I'm always trying to think of jokes and I'm always trying to think of quick little lines and bits like that. But at the same time, I'm trying to work so that there's a bit more of a line going through what I'm saying. So I don't want to, but yeah.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, I think it feeds into my personality, like just to be a bit like, what the hell is he on about now?
Yeah, of course. And I mean, with the futuristic farmer, was that something that you had been pondering about for a long time? Like, you know, where does a farmer fit into the modern world and where does a country fella fit into the city? Like, where did that kind of come from, the whole futuristic farmer?
The name came from, well, I live here in a farm, like close to my father, so he's a farmer. And sometimes I see him and I think that's a lovely life in so many ways. But then I'm like, what will the futuristic farmer look like? Will they have space wellies and all that stuff? So just
yeah, will there be robots cleaning out the cowshed and stuff? You know,
exactly, possibly AI, a different kind of AI, I suppose, than they're used to.
AI, yeah, that's it. Like, because if you said to your old fella, I'm thinking of getting into AI. He'd be like, "We'll get a long pair of gloves because it's fucking dangerous."
They don't bother with gloves around here for that, Simon. Yeah. But yeah, then I was thinking, Jesus, like social media, that's taken over for everybody. Like everyone's involved in social media and online stuff. So that's kind of where the name came from. I was just like, it was almost like my own mind thinking, which side of the coin are we going towards?
But it's great though because it's kind of merging the two worlds where, you know, like farmers might look at television and go, oh, geez, I wouldn't want that in the farm, or I'd never have that. But then the vet might say to them, well, that could save you money now if you did that. And they'd be like, oh, tell me more about it. So,
oh, yeah.
It's all about the bottom line. So, you know, if it'd be like, I'd never have them fucking robots on my farm, that's for sure. But then someone would say, well, he's half the price of a fella from Mullingar. And they'd say, oh, really? Really? And he never stopped working.
Yeah. Well, it's like the dishwasher, you know?
Yeah, of course.
You know, people would clean the dishes by hand once upon a time, and now it's like, oh, there's a dishwasher there. So that's the first sign of letting tech into the house.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
And now it's the air fryer.
And now it's the air fryer, yeah. And all the farmers with the air fryers and the dishwasher, and they said they'd never go near that. And yeah, so I mean, the thing about the futuristic farmer as a whole concept, it's kind of endless because you could have a great TV show from that and everything. I mean, because the ideas are, when you look at now Jeremy Clarkson, you know, Clarkson's Farm, and you see that,
that's good, yeah,
like all the technology he's introducing to the farm and the humor and everything. I mean, there's great potential with that futuristic farmer in reality, no?
Oh yeah, and you could go back even further to hunter-gatherers time, see if we could take anything out of their book. Go around with spears, maybe.
Of course, yeah. There'd be a few spears flying around there, and yeah, it is interesting, like how we can merge the old with the new. But like for you now with that, as a comedian, you know, slash social media star slash TV star, do you find then that with material, you'll work on that material, like you'll maintain that material for a while and you'll want to do something different in a year or two? Or how do you feel about material?
I suppose what I'll do is I'll go over the material. I'll go for ideas inside my mind and then I'll roughly try to put them together. And then what I'll try and do is I'll try to I'll go for like a walk down the railway line around here, and I'll try to improvise for as long as I can. Try to come up with some ideas, and then just like topics to try to improvise on a topic. And then what I'll do is see if I can kind of melt that into 1 hour of just like absolute shy talk that just flows like a river that you don't know which way it's going to go, like that kind of way. So that's the goal.
Muck spreader. It comes out constantly. Yeah.
Comes out constantly. And
it stinks of shit. But people love it because I was even telling somebody today, I was talking about the Irish humor, and I was like, we can talk shite about anything. And we talk, like, we're great at small talk. And the thing about it is the humor is so dark as well that there's levels, and you adjust those levels according to the people you meet, because you're like, oh, maybe it's a bit much for them. Like when I came to Spain, my wife said to me, I don't think they get your humor. And I was like, no. And she went, no, it's a bit too risque. It's too dark for them. Like, even if you're speaking in English, they're kind of like, what does he mean? Like, what? Because you'd be going to dark places and you'd be laughing. They think he's a crazy bastard. Do you know what I mean? But Irish people love that. Like, they love that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But the Spanish, I thought they had dark humor, no?
They do, but it's more dry. I mean, they've dark humor, but it's more tragedy and love and all of that. But I mean, I think Irish people can see something on the road, a plastic bag, and there's something funny in it. The way it's sitting, we can just, it's not always that we're drunk, but like we find those moments. And you say to some fella, does that remind you of something? And do you know what I mean? We're just stupid humor sometimes, but it's very good, isn't it?
All right. Yeah, no, it is, definitely. I know, like, probably in Spain, you probably even appreciate it more because, I find when you get away and you come back to Ireland, you're like, oh, Jesus, there's so many funny things happening here that you take for granted when you're here.
Just, I think, as Ireland is the land of saints and scholars, we have that mentality and that openness to tap into stupid things. And like even another nation might go, yeah, but that's not really funny. But it's how you deliver it and how you keep going with it. And you can turn something that's not funny into something else by adding stuff, can't you?
Oh, big time, yeah. But you know who king of that is? Norm Macdonald. Did you ever listen to that lad?
Yeah, he's very good.
He's so good.
It's just delivery and everything, isn't it? But it's the mind. It's brilliant.
The mind that's constantly firing up things to you. And normally it's the dark side of the mind that's giving you the funniest stuff as well.
Yeah, let's talk about that because you mentioned there about mental health and stuff. Like with the mental health side of things, because so many people in the comedy world and comedians, they spend so much time like on that bright side of life, but they're going to dark places that sometimes when they're alone, they're in those dark places. So do you find that because you do so much thinking, do you find it hard to keep the negative stuff away?
Probably the hardest thing for the negative stuff would be the weather, because in Mayo, it's fairly brutal all year round. But I suppose sometimes the hardest thing would be you're constantly thinking about stuff and you're like, is that funny? Or how would I make a joke of that? And that gets annoying because it's almost like a switch you've turned on in your mind that you can't ever turn off, even if it's like a Sunday and you're just trying to watch something on TV. So it can be frustrating, and you do tend to analyze people and like maybe what they're saying and how they're, like you might sometimes I find I overdo that myself. It can get overwhelming at times, but I don't think it's anything more than anybody else's job. Like everybody is like contemplating life in some sort of way, aren't they? Like even if you're working in a shop, it's not like you're just thinking about life all the time.
You're not just focusing on Snickers Duos. You're like thinking, what am I doing in the evening?
You're thinking about the curly whirlies as well, like,
The curly whirlies as well, yeah. But you see, I think, though, that's a good point. What you said there is that if you've any bit of creative genius or any creativity, your mind is always going. So you're probably watching telly and you're thinking, okay, I'm not doing any work now. And then you're seeing something and you're thinking of something funny about it and you're putting a spin on it. And you're nearly saying to yourself, I have to stop. I can't be always doing this. But that's where the material comes from, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like you have to be observant of it.
All the time.
You have to keep that kind of like, it's not like your creative mind is saying to you, oh yeah, you can take the weekends off, even though it does help. That's what you have to do for the job. But like, again, it's like anybody in any job. It's like a farmer. They can't be like, I'm going to forget all about the cattle this weekend. They have to think about everything. So It's just like any job, really. I don't think it's anything. And the creative thing, I think everyone is creative, It's just a matter of whether you turn that switch on or off.
Tell us about what you have coming up. So you've some shows coming up over the next few months. Have you any big plans for the comedy circus?
Stand-up gigs coming up across the country, so I'm looking forward to that. I've got some up the north, I've got some in the east, some in the south. I've done some in the west already. I've got a few more, and then I'm doing a podcast at the moment. It's called Owen's Odyssey, so check that out. I'm going to have some very sensual guests. Yeah, that's going to be great. Sensuality, yeah, that's the key.
Oh, brilliant! That sounds good. Oh, sensuality and chocolate. You need the chocolate Snickers Duo for that one. Yeah.
We're going to be eating chocolate live on camera for YouTube, so just check that one out.
It's amazing what you can do with 2 chocolate fingers, you know. Like, bear that in mind. You know what I mean?
You said it, Simon. You're going to get us cancelled.
Sensuality and Snickers Duo.
Exactly.
Yeah. So listen, thanks very much for coming on the show. You know, it's great chatting to you, Owen. And we'll talk again some other time. We'll get you on. Thank you very much, Owen.
Likewise, Simon. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you very much, Mr. Owen Colgan. That was really nice to have you on the show. It's great to hear about all the memories of the Hardy books and Buzz and Eddie Durkin and Salmon and all the boys. So it was great. I really enjoyed chatting to you, and it was lovely to take that trip down memory lane. And also, it's wonderful to hear everything you're doing now, and you've taken that great step onto the comedy stage. So we wish you the best of luck, and we look forward to see where your career goes from here, upwards and onwards, we imagine. So thank you very much, Mr. Owen Colgan. It was a pleasure talking to you. Okay, to you, the listener, thank you very much as well for being here, and we've loved having you, and we look forward to the next episode with you. So stay tuned, and remember, share the show, subscribe, support us if you can. Thank you very much, everybody. My name is Simon Kay. This is the Collective Whisper podcast. So until the next time, look after your friends, your family. Take care. Bye-bye.